baddies, okay? What's going on? What's going on? What's happening? Welcome to the dopest, and I do mean dopest podcast about hair, okay? Particularly black hair, okay? Y'all know what time it is. It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha Wright, aka Key Lolo, coming to you live and direct from Cleveland, Ohio with the dopest podcast, and it's called what? The dumbest ish that people say about black hair. And I got my homegirl, my PNC, that's right, my partner in cosmetology. That's right, over here. There she is right there. She's got some glasses on. Her glasses look really good. That's Cheryl Morrow. These are my brothers. I just want to, did you guys know glasses can make you feel high? Let me take these off because I'm like, ooh, how y'all doing out there? Ooh, these glasses. Ooh, you ain't got to smoke no weed. Just put some glasses on. Look at,
especially when they're not yours.
I didn't know glasses could do that. Anybody out here put some glasses on and then they feel like I don't even know why glasses do that to you, but yeah, I just feel kind of like kind of woozy swoozy. So yeah. But I need some cool. I want to give me some cool readers. I don't really need glasses, but I'm getting up there. So Anywho, the chat coming through. Y'all coming through for us, Cheryl. Let me get some shout out. We got some music that we're going to be playing in a few minutes. First of all, I see my homegirl Vidal is in the house. What's up, Vidal? I see you. We got Sandra. You always down with us. We got Miss Howard, my BFF. That's right. We got ATL representing baby. And then we got we have a real life cosmetology instructor in the chat. That's right, the one and only Miss West, the best. She's the one that gave you the cool blue shirt that I haven't mailed off yet. Yes. I'm sorry, Denise. I'm going to mail it to her. It's coming. It's sitting right here. I'm busted. That's right. Remember that song? 'Cause you're busted. By R. Kelly. Y'all remember R. Kelly? Poor R. Kelly.
You remember.
Free R. Kelly! Come on, y'all. Let R. Kelly out, because you're busted. No, R. Kelly can't get out. Okay. All right, R. Kelly can't get out, but we can get out. Speaking of wonderful music, all right, I want you guys, we're going to have a dynamic show today. Today is all about, is natural hair clean beauty? I have some wonderful clips that you got. Sure, you're going to love these clips. I'm going to tell you that right now. So we're going to discuss this. Now, this topic is going to get really serious, and I'm going to need you all's input. Don't y'all have me sitting up here acting a fool. Notice I said acting. Now, I'm trying to go in, I'm trying to not cold switch so much, but y'all know Key Lolo be up in here acting up, okay? So we're going to definitely have a wonderful topic about, we have this conversation going about what the ham sandwich is, clean beauty and all this cool stuff. That's number 2. So we got music, number 1, then we have our actual topic. And then number 3, we're going to talk about that Afro Hair Science Summit, because we've just, it's, what, sure, the world kind of like, it's kind of getting out. That's right. I think some people might even come up from other states. They might, I think it's really, really going to happen. People are honestly waiting. So as we do this, okay, let's play some wonderful music. Now, Cheryl sent me this earlier today. And she said, my friend, did she do the music and the lyrics?
She did the music and the lyrics, and it was written for women. And since this is Women History Month, I think that and we're all hairdressers and hairstylists and hair enthusiasts and all that good stuff. And so I had to send it to my girl so she can play it in the salon, and hopefully she can pass it to you guys.
All right. Now this, I listened to it.
Her name is Rachel Evans. She is jazz royalty here in San Diego. She's the daughter of the jazz legend Carl Evans Jr. And so you gonna hear.
All right. So we're gonna hear some wonderful music. I promise you guys, this is absolutely the bomb. So you guys go ahead on and get ready. Make sure y'all got your ear, clean that wax, get that jelly out them ears, Monica. Sandra, I know you got some jelly in them ears. Y'all get that jelly out your ears, okay? All right, so get the jelly out your ears and get ready to listen to some wonderful music. And this is called Sister, Let Me Do Your Hair. All right, here we go. Let me just play it a little bit. Here we go.
Enjoy. Okay, come on, hairdressers.
You know what? This the dopest. I'm telling you, I quit my job. I love every last one's y'all's. I mean, let me tell you something. I do. I'm for real. You guys are absolutely Cheryl. This was absolutely, truly. I mean, the chat just lit up. You guys have to admit, this was absolutely, I mean, totally, completely Beautiful. I wish, you know what, I really, honestly, I wish everybody in the chat was right here in my office because I could crack open my bottle of, bottle of Dom Perignon to get us in the mood. Hey, y'all, in the atmosphere that's sure to please you. Ah, come on now. We got to give it up for this sister. Say her name one more time. And somebody,
Fabulous. The
some,
wonderful Rachel Evans here in San Diego. Just give her some encouragement, y'all, because she is a bad sister.
she's a bad sister. So, Rachel, I'm going to take a picture with this. This one is for you from our partners right here in our podcast, the dumbest ish that people say about black hair. So, we're toasting this Dom Perignon to Rachel Evans. I know some of y'all like, is it really something in there? No, I drank it up, but I kept the box, okay? Because I'm ghetto like that, all right? But anyway. All right, that's right. Everybody's like, let me put that up here. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. I gotta show that. All right, Rachel, we are definitely feeling you. As a matter of fact, so you know what that means, sure, right?
Well, I can see everybody comes into the hair reverence salon. They just get into a trance. They get, come in. You know, you know, when you did that sister's hair and you just said, sister, let me just hook you up. Let me heal you. Let me send you out into the world. That's why Rachel wrote the song. And I think that if we, as beauticians, cosmetologists, hair enthusiasts, natural hair practitioners, that's our job, is to get our men and women to feel like that. And it's truly a blessing to have an anointed person who really wants to help do your hair.
So y'all know what that means, right? Every time if she gives us permission, that's the official song of the podcast. The dumbest ish that people say about black hair. So before we go in, when we come in, when we go out, we're gonna go ahead on and let the music just kind of sway us out because it
Absolutely.
really did. It felt like we were in the jazz. She said, "Bring that one to ATL." That's what I'm talking about, and I like the fact that everybody in the chat is so open. This is why Cheryl and I, we love you guys. When I tell you guys are like truly our partners, you are not our followers. I think today it definitely epitomizes that you guys are not following. Everybody here is marching
Thank
to the
you.
beat of their own drums. We don't need another hero or leader, but nothing brings people together like music. So we thank you so much, Cheryl, for taking us to another level. Because y'all know me, I just hip hop y'all out forever. Fresh, 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 yo, that's fresh. I'll just be hip hop. Y'all be like, dang, Dosha, do you have anything else besides hip hop? Nope. But now, thanks to Rachel Evans, I have something nice to listen to. So we have a wonderful, wonderful topic today. It's all about, is natural hair clean beauty? Now, before we get into this, Cheryl, I'm going to do just a little bit of controversy. I like to, y'all know me, I like to get a little started up in here. There's this book here that I read, and it's called The Nisut Biti, which translates into king. All right, this is from the hieroglyphs, guys, okay, or the Medu Neter. And so this is written by my dear friend, Mr. Asar Imhotep. And so this is the Nisut Biti in ancient Egyptian, a lesson in paronymy and leadership. So Asar Imhotep is an autodidact, but he is a linguist. So by day, he's a computer programmer, and that's how he became a linguist, and he's world renowned, well respected. And so in honor of history, Women's Herstory Month, I got to tell you guys the truth that when I was a kid, I didn't like the word queen. I still don't like it. I don't like when people be like, hey, queen, what's up, queen? I'm kind of weird. I've always been kind of weird like that. Like, don't be calling me no queen, Now, I like the regality. Don't get it twisted. But something about that word queen, it just never jived with me, right? So this month is Women's History Month. And I was one of those kids who always asked the strange questions like, why are we called women? I always wonder, like, where did that come from? So in his book, the Nesut Biti, he takes us on a journey of the etymology of the word woman. And so, and just now, you guys, I'm paraphrasing this because we got to get on with the topic, but I just want to give you guys something to think about in honor of Women's History Month, because now remember, this is English language. I gotta make sure I say that, because all countries don't speak English, duh, and they don't call their females women. But remember now, America, we got everything from Europe, right, Cheryl? So Cheryl, do I have that much right? Pretty much America came, okay, so we know everything in America just pretty much came out of Europe. They was running from over there, you know the whole story, all right? And so this thing about burning women at the stake, like they were witches, and so have anybody ever wondered, like, why were they burning the women? So now I'm paraphrasing this a little bit. You can get more of this into detail. So what Asar does is he takes you through the etymology of the word woman. So apparently, per his research, and I looked this up, you can do this. You can go to Google and you can see the etymology of where the word began. So the story goes that, in the old times, women were just the property of men. And they didn't want to be called women. And so they were burning them at the stake because women were like, we don't want to be called a woman because we ain't your property. And so they were killing them. They were burning them up. Y'all know Salem's, y'all know the story. Come on, guys, right? And so there was some foreigners that came in, particularly the Africans. And I'm kind of paraphrasing this. And the Africans was like, yo, dog, it's not in your best interest to burn up the women because y'all going to need them to have some kids. And they was like, we got to come. So y'all might just give them a new word. They don't want to be called women. So give them a new title, do something, but stop burning up y'all women. So to be able to say, okay, all right, little African, you might be onto something here. Don't burn no more women. Stop calling them witches. What should we call them? Wives. So in ancient times, women were the property of any man, but a wife was the property of one man. So he breaks this down. And he talks about the word queen. I ain't going to be a spoiler alert. But when you guys read it, I ain't going to think you want to be called no queen either. But to each his own. I know that's crazy. Now, that's my interpretation. You're more than welcome to read it and get your own. But it is true. Is it true, Cheryl? Were they really burning those women up at the stake?
Sorry, I got the net. Context is everything for me. And I think that was a faction. I don't think that happened everywhere.
Yeah, so that happened everywhere. I just mean in Europe, Where were they burning the witches at the Salem's Lot? They were burning them somewhere.
Well, you have to remember, only the European women who were educated, or educated with black women, they weren't witches. Just there was no such thing as witches in Europe. Witches have to have higher knowledge. Now that could have been in the Celtic religion where they got not African knowledge, but European women were uneducated, and I think that is witches is crossed with midwifery, and midwifery has to do with birth because men weren't part of the birthing process, and I think when men wanted to cross over to gynecology, started birthing babies and dealing with women's health care because men weren't. I think European men wanted to be involved with women's health care. And I think that was the women who didn't want men crossing into women's health care. And I think that's where the Salem witch folklore and all of that at that particular time. They were trying to stop men from going into women's health care. Like, women are not in men's health care. Women don't do prostate exams but men had a thing about women's hysterectomies, their wombs, placenta, stem cell. They had a hard on about it. And I think that was um, midwives fighting the Patreon, the Patastori, um, in my research.
All right, and that's why we have these conversations. So, anywho, there you have it. We got that corrected right here. This is why we have. Now, y'all know I don't have no problem with being wrong. But anywho, anyway.
I,
So again, I might have my locations wrong, but like I said, you got to read the book and get into it, and it really breaks down that pretty much women were the property of men, and they just really didn't want to be that, and so women were really fighting during those times to not be the property of men, and so it's Women's History Month, and so now we're still kind of fighting, not so much to be property, but we definitely want to get that pay.
well, at the end of the day, I think when people get married, the strange thing is that men forgot to change it. They forgot to change it to holy patrimony. They still left it holy matrimony. And that's men changing their names to women. And so stupid men just left it like marry you in holy matrimony. Matrimony is matrilineal, is marrying a man married to a female line family, which is the natural process. But I guess I guess it was just too much for them to do. They forgot that little damn part right there. Let's change it to, because of women, take the man's name. That would be holy patrimony, not holy matrimony. So anyway, yeah, I get those details.
Yeah, I hope you guys are like, that's right. That's something to think about. Now, don't say you heard it. Don't get that. Don't you guys start marching on the square. Don't y'all get up there and start going up there to the Pope talking about, sure said you got it wrong. Holy matrimony, you got to take our last name and all this and give us our damn money, okay? So anyhow, speaking of damn money, let's get into this topic about is natural hair clean beauty? Now, this topic is coming up because it's very obvious that there is a really large divide between your natural hairstylist and your licensed cosmetologist. Now, I'm not quite sure how this divide got started, and it's my goal to close the gap. I just want to let you guys know, if you are a natural hairstylist, we need to bridge. We don't need to be separated like this. But there are some things in the natural hair community that's very opposite of what we do, particularly when it comes to chemicals. And I'm going to give Cheryl all the credit in the world for helping me, and I'm sure you guys understand that the natural hair movement is a portion of it is also a anti-chemical movement. And so what our goal tonight is to give you guys a little history about, clean and how did all this get started. So we're going to start off with clean beauty by defining what it is. And so we know that right now it appears so far that our Europeans are pretty much, they're holding the standard, the baton on what is clean beauty and how, what the standard is. So we're going to do, let's go back in history and let's see the rich history of the Europeans and their definition of clean beauty. And then Cheryl is going to watch this and we're going to take it forward so we can begin to see the clean beauty is what everybody, especially in this natural hair community, that's anti-chemical. Here's a little history. So I'm going to play this clip and everybody get ready.
Perfumes for cloths, linen, and wigs. These scented sachets were inserted into folds, placed under the armpits of doublets or at the hips of dresses, crowning perfume as the king of artifice.
One of the main uses of perfume was to cover up smells. Perfume compensated for the lack of cleanliness.
Anybody out here? Now, I didn't know that, but that in the day of yore that they did not wash up. So let's start with clean beauty right there. Is that clip true that you're did they not really wash up in Versailles?
Um, well, let's break it down like this. The reason why water is avoided when you have an outbreak, um, maybe fungal, um, or bacterial, and it's pathogens because water makes things grow. And so they avoided water because of the outbreaks of germs and pathogens and things of that nature, fungus. And so they were afraid and they did not have the remedies or the alchemy or the science to be able to know how to do distillation. The first introduction to alchemy and distillation was through perfume, okay, which is the essence, the thinnest essence of a plant, okay. So when they, we talk about a colonialism, but it had a purpose. So, when they talk about their colonial and imperialistic ventures, they were trying to survive and create and bring things back to Europe to create. So, and I think that is from the history of fashion also, because fashion is interwoven into the historical um, perspective and knowledge about cleanliness, and cleanliness is next to godliness, which is not in the Bible. I don't think that's not a verse, but what they are talking about, it is cleanliness is next to Africanness. That's actually what the saying is, because when they met and came down to the South, the African had a zenith of high condition in living conditions. And so the perfume actually started, they actually took better care of their livestock. So perfume was leather goods, livestock, and then themselves. And of course, and then it just got translated, and then it created the biggest boom within Europe at that time, which is perfumes and cosmetics. But I think Jeffrey Jones of Harvard does a better job. I don't know where that clip is from, but you can see Jeffrey Jones live, and he goes through the history of perfume and cosmetics.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm with you, Miss Howard. Nasty. Also, what's up, Selena AG? I see you. Sandra, like, say what? I said the same thing. Now, when I was doing research for my book here, What They Don't Tell You at the Hair Salon, I was surprised to learn that different parts of the world, for all the time, they use soap. The recipe is pretty much the same. From I think even the word soap, well, the English word soap, comes from a location in Italy, and they were cleaning those clothes, but they were not using it on themselves. However, in Africa, they did use it on themselves. So as we move through, do you think you can share with us why did the Africans, how did they conclude that to use the soap on themselves?
How did they come to using soap?
I mean, on themselves, because when I did the history, as I was reading, a lot of people, like in China, Chinese, like they cleanse their clothes. Like you said, they definitely, their livestock, but for whatever reason, they didn't use it on themselves. So they said, the research is saying that, Africans were the first to actually use the soap to cleanse themselves, whereas everybody else, was just using it on everything but themselves. So how do you know, like, how that came about to actually apply it?
Um, I don't know if you are aware that I don't know how much Africans has a history of creating deodorant. But that's not has nothing to do. That's perspiration, right? But what you have to understand, we had a knowledge of saponifying, right? Turning things into soap. Not necessarily detergent, but we knew that when we turned soda, see, purification of the skin is not the same as getting rid of, the musty smell. I mean, that's not quite the same thing, but we had a knowledge of alchemy, which means to turn butter or something into a high alkali, and that alkali and turning it back into an acid to scrub, to clean something, or to clean the skin, and to take butter and to make sure that other waxes and natural waxes like nut butters, shea butter is a good palm butter, or but it was high alkali, which means that it neutralized fungus or a bacteria. It was to stay on the surface and to create an alkali base, which is soda, which is, of course, that should sound familiar to you guys. But the soap, there were saponifiers. Soap didn't come into Europe until late, because salt turns into soap, actually.
Wow. You see what I'm saying? So now we got a backdrop. Are you guys? I mean, the chat is crickets. Like, I know. You can always guarantee that on the dumbest ish that people say about black hair, we gonna bring the funk. Y'all like that? Funk? Oh, okay. Anywho, so now that we done brought y'all the funk on the soap and cleanliness, okay? So are you saying that this saponification process, the salt turning to soap, like all these things that you're saying, is that chemistry, or is that nature, or is it both?
Well, the root word of chemistry is chem. That is what chemistry is. That's the mystery of particles and elements, learning how they work and how they can speak to you in terms of, just how they communicate with your subconscious or your culture or whatever the shamans are at that particular time. But that's what they were for. But corn and food, all of that agricultural and celestial knowledge. I mean, how far back do we know that goes back? All you can do is see the ruins and what's left. And alchemy is just one of those ancient skill sets and wisdom and knowledge, like geometry, that's just passed down from culture to culture. I will say, though, for women's history, it is it's not necessarily a woman thing either. Men and women did make wine, and wine is a cosmetic. It was an antiseptic. It was a cleanser because of the alcohol. Okay. And so it's a very slippery slope between alcohol, beverages, wine, and you had a cut, boy, you put some cognac in there and it'll clean it real good. And see, when you have these wonderful scriptures like Jesus turning water into wine, it's not the fact that it was an alcoholic beverage. They're talking about the alchemy of changing the elements and the particles of being able to turn that into alchemy. And then it goes into cosmetics and fashion and fabrics and
Wow. So, hey, what's up? Turn up, y'all. Come on now. Turn it up. Okay. Okay, so here's the thing though. So come on now, y'all. Don't get crickets. Go ahead on and drop your questions in the chat. And also now don't forget, if there's something that you want to interview Cheryl, please say, I want to talk to Cheryl about this. We don't want to just be the only one up here. We're here for you guys. So let me just go ahead on and ask the question now. Here we go, guys. So how we get here? How do we get here that, chemicals are bad, like anti-soap and no pools, and co-washing, using conditioners and stuff as cleansers, and so anybody feel me? Anybody out here, just help me understand, like, how did the natural hair movement confuse this alchemy? That, because these are I don't know if this is a fact, but I'm taking it that the natural hair movement was started by black people. I don't know if it was African Americans, or they come from someplace else. So the natural hair movement, and when you hear it, you definitely get the feel. And when you look at the pictures, like if you Google natural hair, you're only going to see black women. And so there is an association that this natural hair movement has a connection to, kind of like want to hold on to Mama Africa. So if that's the case, and what you're saying about, just the alchemy coming out of Africa, how are our natural hair brothers and sisters missing what you're saying? That I will admit, I've not heard what you just shared with us, so I know how I could miss it, but I would think if I was going to specialize in natural hair, I would get a little history, So how are they missing it to the point where they're anti-chemicals, they're anti-soap, they're pro putting, cleansing hair with cold washes and things of that sort. And that's not to say they don't clean, but you feel me.
I've said it many times. I don't think the natural hair movement is pro-natural at all. I think they're totally against buying in, supporting, and feeding the establishment called cosmetology. And in the middle of being anti-cosmetology, they created a food-based beauty movement. And the problem is that they were not schooled enough to maintain that kind of foundation, because it's 23 years in those particular brands that were based on those websites that were based on these communities are of no more. And so I know you wanted to say something. And so clean beauty is a new term of what Aveda back in the 80s, late 80s and 90s was just pushing for. It's just plant-based. But now that clean beauty is another phenomenon. It's much more sophisticated, but it's still the consumer is no more. Well, and let's say in 2007 you had the green movement. And then the real most important movement to me, in my opinion, was two things: to get the consumer educated into knowing the difference between botanicals and herbs and natural and organic, preservatives, to understand all of it. So the knowledge was very important, because that the opposite of clean beauty is uneducation, misinformation. It's almost like it sits on the other side. So you can't be in clean beauty if you're misinformed. And then also which was more important to me, was actually the blue movement, which was to make sure that salons were blue, which means they had a irrigation water filter system, like I grew up in a house with soft water and actually blue water, which was because if your water is burnt, it's got all types of chemicals and toxins in the water. But so green being green and being blue, and then of course those words became, I guess, declasse, and then of course it's called clean beauty. But natural hair care in and of itself, I don't think they. I just think that they just were just trying to be anti-establishment. That it just dovetailed into that.
Okay, so let's see what's happening with the demand, because now there is a demand for these natural resources. So let me play a clip and let's see what's happening with the natural resources.
You're stressed out, you can't sleep, you're suffering from headaches. Well, there may be an oil for that.
If you want to use the king of essential oils, frankincense is your best bet.
I realized that we had a really serious problem with unsustainable practices.
So I think what's happening is that the consumers our demand. I'm one of them too now. I've got my stuff over here. You know, y'all know me. I'm in the heavy consumption up in here. All right. So the consumers, we're just wanting more and more and more and more and more. But something is happening to the people and the places as we want more and more and more. So can Mother Nature produce it? Y'all laughing at me. I know y'all got some. Y'all using up these resources too now. Okay. So is something happening to number one, the people that's making this stuff? You know, that's because you heard what she said about sustainability, and maybe you could just piggyback off of sustainability. That's one. Two, what about the people who's making this stuff? Okay, or producing it? And then three, can Mother Nature really meet all my demands? You know, because I got some shea butter right here. Hold on. So I'm consuming. Y'all come check this out. What about my plastic cones? You know, my paper. I'm consuming. So is Mother Nature? Can she do all this? And is all of this stuff recyclable, sustainability? So help us out, because we want to know. Remember, the topic today is clean beauty. What is it? So I know that's a heavy 3-part question, but I know you sure. You smart than a mother. So sure, go ahead. I wasn't gonna cut y'all. I ain't gonna get no strikes, okay? So go ahead and break it down.
I'm gonna just simplify it by, no one asks about sustainability once the natural material stays in the region. We only ask that question when it comes to the United States, or it comes to Europe. It's almost like I don't think an African has ran out of shea butter. And I think the point is that I don't think that the question is a matter of is it sustainable. I think what happens is that we use so much of the raw material in the time space of a trend. See, it's not going to happen all the time in the Western world. We're going to use 100 years within a decade. So trying to squeeze, because once the trend, see, we're only trend consumers, right? And so once you're trend consumers, you're dumping a lot. And you can see the life cycle of raw materials just looking at the economics. The body shop is just of no more. We went to every mall and you saw the body shop, the body shop, the body shop, the body shop. And then you saw, I think that there was another one, Bath and Body Works. And then there was this and that and this and that. I don't know how many Avedas are around now. I know they're there. But what I'm basically saying is that, petroleum and Vaseline and petrolatum, and mineral oil, those are natural ingredients. Okay. But for some reason, I think that there is a different why don't those things ever get exploited, and why don't those things are ever in danger? I think that when you see people of color and you see people coming in, I think it's so much in a short span of time that the region can't sustain it. But I will say that I don't think the natural hair care can sustain the legitimacy of their movement. I don't. It has nothing to do with the raw materials, because the legitimate of their movement is not clean in and of itself.
Wow.
That makes sense.
That yeah. Well, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, you guys know how I always say, sure, that we don't rehearse this. I just want to let you guys know. We like rappers, we freestyle. You know what I'm saying? We freestyle and buck wild and try to get in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you this little clip, clip here. This is the actual a headliner that I grabbed off my email to Cheryl's point about this short time span and producing and how this stuff is a trend. So here we go, guys. You guys are going to like this one. Clean beauty retailers unmoved by lawsuit against clean beauty program. So there you have it. Cheryl did not know that I was going to show this this headline of an article. So you are right that this is a trend, and it's kind of fading out. It didn't dawn on me that you don't see that many body shops anymore, and people aren't in that too much. But what people are into are hair weaves. So let me show you a clip about hair weaves, because this is the trend that will probably never, ever, ever in your long-legged life go away. But let's hear from a manufacturer of hair weaves and his position on why it probably ain't never going out of style. So let's hear what he has to say. Get ready, guys.
I have seen my future is in Africa, because I have seen hundreds of African women. When they come into our shop, I see the eyes gleaming with happiness, and they see so much hair. Their joys, you can't see how joyful they are, because they think their beauty is enhanced by this wearing this hair phenomenally.
Wow.
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 Wow. He says his future is in Africa.
So is mine.
So this, okay, guys, come on, talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now, I am not anti-hair weave, okay? I want to say I like that stuff. I can't do it, but I absolutely love it. So, but the hair weave has a little bit of controversy in itself, a little bit like, the resource issue of where the hair is coming from and who the hair is coming off of. And what the hair is made of. So we know that like your braided hair is made from, refurbished tires and things of that nature. So talk to us a little bit about the clean beauty of weaves, number one, hair additions or whatever, because you heard what the man said. He said, Africa is in his future, okay? And this whole thing about, these protective hairstyles, because they took the weaves and now they have new language for this to protect the hair, where you don't have to, you can leave this stuff in for 6 months. You can shampoo it with it in your hair. So the wigs are now taking on a whole new life of its own. So give us your thoughts, because we have a lot of weave and wig wearers, and it's not all about aesthetics. Some people have to wear them, so from both sides. And then of course again, the new thing with hair weaves and hair additions is that you can wash them and leave them in your hair for extended periods of times to do what's called a protective hairstyle. That's the new thing, because you're going to add some hair to protect your hair. Let's go. That's a good one.
Okay. I only have one thing to say. on that. And I'm just going to say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand how that could ever be connected to a clean beauty, because it takes so many harsh chemicals to clean that hair before it comes to the States. And you don't want to know what that hair has to go through to even be prepared to get on your head. And it ain't nothing natural. And so you guys got to understand.
What you talking about, Willis? Hold on now. Back up. Hold on now. So they.
Let me say this to you. You have to understand that the wig, the hair, the waft, the lace front, whatever you call it, it never returns back to the way you bought it. The more you wear it, it never returns back to that lovely, soft, beautiful, fluffy head of hair that you bought in that plastic, beautiful bag with the cardboard that says Golden Crown, and you all excited because what the process. You do not want to see a hair manufacturer. I don't even want to go in there. That's just me, because I know what it does to get it to the States, and it has to go through a process because it can't be infested, right? And so clean beauty, I that cannot be in the same conversation. So I think that once we just come to the grow up, accept the facts that no matter what your choices are, there is a price to pay. And if you want to be in terms of clean beauty, all of those things are cleaned with alkali. It could be some acids, but then after they clean it, they put some de-static chemicals on it, and to make it nice and soft, just like a fabric softener. And then they put it back in the package. But there's a whole process, and if you don't mind that process, I don't know how clean beauty you'll be, but it is not great for the environment. So,
I think I think what people like, we don't allow that term in the hair salon. We don't allow hair typing, and we don't allow protective hairstyles. But Cheryl, people really, 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 really believe that when you say human hair, it does have a flair, if you will, that it's better than, and you can fill in the blanks because of the word human. If you add other, nouns such as Peruvian, Brazilian. So these.
Can I say something? Guys, please. Protein is not sustainable. Your bones and hair is the last thing to go, and it's here forever. It's not. In fact, we use them to clean oil wells. Protein doesn't break down in the environment. So when y'all throw them wigs away, what decomposes it?
Okay, you making me want to cry for real. I'm serious, y'all. That has never crossed my mind. I'm speechless. And I've done a lot of dead people. I have. And
am I right?
I know. I'm with you, Anitra. I right now I'm just gonna have a moment of silence because that never crossed my mind. That the hair, it doesn't break down. It's not sustainable, but it is touted that this is something protective. And I'm not saying, I don't know what I'm saying, because you just effed me up. SHIT. Anybody in there feeling me? Come on, y'all. Put some alert faces because I see the chat just went like, ooh. We do have someone here. DP 3 Silk is saying that we also have to consider child labor. The children who have to work and toil to make this hair, and I think that these are maybe the future of hair weaves and stuff will consider this reality. Well, hold on, I'm sorry. My free Nelly SBCglobal.net just dropped through. What's up, free Nelly? I see you, boo. So I don't think that we've ever. I'm just gonna speak for myself. Have never thought what happens to the hair once we toss it. I mean, we see it. I still live in the hood, okay, and we see an occasional, hair, ball rolling, that tumbleweed, no pun intended, rolling down the street, and we see some hair, hanging up on the wire, but I never thought about that hair doesn't break down and that it is not sustainable. So maybe in the future they're going to create some hair that breaks down. So while we're at it, what do they do with all of that? What they go through, and do they pull it out the garbage? Like, what happens to the hair wig that we?
That's why there's synthetic hair. That's why they're synthetics, because they are made to recycle. They are recyclable, but keratin protein is not very environmental, and that is one of the reasons why Africans don't bury people. They say ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and so we have to really start thinking about in. Child labor is one. However, I don't think we're very green with our containers that we have all of our carrot juice and grape juice and weed juice and conditioners, and because the containers don't break down. And so we are compounding the problem, but we're talking clean and talking natural and talking, my goal with Afro cosmetology is for us to talk Afro and African. We're not talking about that we don't do things to the environment. What we try to do is be as safe and as environmental friendly and in alignment with nature as possible. But we are not saying that we don't want to be beautiful. It's just a dumbass conversation to have sometimes, especially, and then we conflate and then we project and then we get off context and then we want to get all, crazy with the conversation. But the whole world is concerned with what we're doing to the environment. But when it comes to beauty, I think that it's our job to push the envelope with it, because beauty should not be against nature. It should be aligned with it.
Okay, beauty should be aligned with nature. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I like the way Shore just kind of slid in. Did y'all hear the way? That's why Africans don't bury. They burn, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Shore, she just real slick with it, y'all. Because I'm up here like I done told my son already, burn me up. Don't I just burn me on up? As a matter of fact, everybody in my family, we are all into cremation. So there are no graves to go and visit in my family.
What do you guys turn into? Salt. Ashes, soda ash. That's what you guys turn into. That's what you're going to turn into. Ashes. Ash is salt.
Salt and pepper's here, and we're in effect. I knew that song was a jam for something pushing real good. All right. She's salt and I'm pepper. Hey, are you for real? Are you serious?
Absolutely. You turn into salt, and they'll put you in the ocean. And what is the ocean? Alkaline, salty, and it just dissolves, and you go back to whence you came. Blood is salty. Plasma salty. Urine is salty. It's Ammonia is alkali. That's why your urine smells, because it's alkali. You're a chemical house. You are a chemical. And so that's why the natural kind of conversation is with them.
Wow, knowledge is definitely it's something when you don't use it. Let me just be honest. I never knew any of what we just learned today. We got some surprise faces in the chat. You guys go ahead on and drop some more surprise faces in the chat as we wrap this up. This topic has been absolutely jaw-dropping for me. I never know what's going to come out of Cheryl's mouth. So number one, we got the whole thing about ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Just to get to another level, ashes to ashes, salt. You know, to the salt to the ocean. I ain't gonna say salt and pepper. Okay, I got it out my sister, Miss Howard. Ashes to salt, salt to the ocean. Did y'all see? And that we are all chemistry. Just poetic justice. Poetic justice is what we're. Miss Howard, you said same here. This girl is like Gwen Stefani. Let me blow your mind. You're blowing our minds as usual. But speaking of blowing our minds, she also blows a mean afro. After all, her dad, invented the Morrow, pick that goes on your comb, a blow dryer attachment, so you can really get a good blowout on your hair. Which is a perfect segue into our Afro Hair Science Summit. So I'm hoping that you can tell. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Cheryl. I got to put this up here. Miss Sandra, you done blew me back with this one. I ain't never seen it, but I'm going to put it up here, Miss Sandra, because you typed it. I'm sorry. I got to digress. Cheryl, you got to see what she put. She once saw a weft of hair in a bird's nest. Don't y'all love this podcast? I'm trying to be professional, Sandra. I ain't making it. Everybody put a laughing face in the chat. The birds know what to do with it. Humans don't. They building houses. Okay, I'm gotta get it out. I'm sorry, Sandra. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, Sandra. Sandra, don't do that. What's the name? Sit up, smart bird. Okay. Hey, Jojo. Sandra, don't you come back next week. Sandra, don't come back. Don't come back next week. You're on punishment. Okay. All right. Okay, Cheryl, I'm back. I'm sorry, guys. That was just, I wasn't ready, Sandra. You got everybody else, they hollering. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was just the birds. Hey, the birds, they know what time it is. So anywho, back to the Afro Hair. Okay, I'm sorry, Sandra. I'm getting it out. The Afro Hair Science Summit is coming in July of 2023 here in Cleveland, Ohio. And this is really, 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 again, all the stuff that you guys are hearing, the misinformation. The goal is to really, number one, we want to unite the barber, the beauty, and the natural hairstylists who have the license, okay? And this has never happened, okay? So we are going to be educated about, that's number one. Number two is we're going to be educated. So unite, educate, and then you're going to be certified. So we're going to make sure that you guys get certification into this understanding of Afro hair. So I don't know how Cheryl kept it straight. When Cheryl got up, Juju, she got up and she walked away because she wasn't about to, cry like I did. But anywho, so Cheryl, talk about Afro hair science, because that's something that people are like, here y'all go again. Everything got a science. So talk a little bit about Afro hair science, Afro cosmetology, so people can understand, why are we doing this and why Afro hair cosmetology? Why not nappyology or kinkology or something like that?
Well, after that comment, I don't know who just had to get that out. You know, if that is nothing more embarrassing than to disrupt nature like that, and for them to find use for our throwaways like that. However, Afro science is to keep us aligned with ourselves, to readjust what we think we know about the present day cosmetology, to utilize the rules and regs that we do learn in the cosmetology system, but to make it applicable to who we are and to applicable to the greater body of the consumers. And to also use the science and use the information that we are going to learn in July to set things to make them more logical, and make chemistry more logical, and skin and hair more logical, and then allow us to be able to spread out into specialties like trichology, and to make them more applicable in our daily, so we can raise the level of our prices, so we can also our revenues, and be able to also elevate in other parts of our careers. And so it is just from knowing the arts and sciences, and readjusting it to our ethos, and allowing us to also get on one accord with some scientific truths now. We want to be able to be experts in our cities and our regions, to be able to be a tool for our community. So if something goes awry, we also can use the knowledge base that we can. Afro cosmetology does have a set of truths that we all can agree upon. And then anything outside of our expertise, that we are the established expert in the beauty field, in the beauty world, in the community, of where lawyers and doctors and dermatologists and gynecologists, that we make a stake, that we are the professionals and the experts of this. And so that's what the summit is about.
And this is really, really needed because, we do have some cosmetologists in the chat, and we also have some consumers, some wonderful, wonderful customers. But, it's very, very intimidating. And uncomfortable when you're posed with the issue behind the chair. You're also challenged with some rhetoric that's not in the scope of what we're taught in cosmetology school, because there is an element, like when I first entered the industry, it was a level of respect that we were the professional and that they were coming for solutions. Today, it's like everybody's smarter than a cosmetologist, if you know what I mean. And so this is very, very difficult, especially for our younger cosmetologists, especially to those who are re-entering the world of cosmetology, and those professionals, those barbers, those cosmetologists and natural hairstylists who's also very shy. And they don't have the language to be able to respond to some of the things that we're hearing, and the tones, that we're hearing from behind the chair. So Afro hair cosmetology is definitely going to empower us to be able, like Cheryl said, to be on one accord, because we're all over the place with misinformation. And so we know that this summit is going to be able to help us be of better service, to our customers. So what do you have to say to people who like, well, I ain't never heard of no Afro hair science. I've never heard of Afro cosmetology. What is she talking about as we wrap this up?
Um, you have. We just didn't talk about it. It's called grandma. It's called auntie. It's called TT. It's called, you know, we I named it Afro cosmetology because before the word natural, and this is a little bit of trivia, what was black people's hairstyle that they wore from 1964 to 1975? What was it called? Was it called a fro, afro, a natural? What do you think it was called? Just guess. Got it?
Everybody drop in the chat, ask a question one
What?
more time. I'm gonna drop my answer in the chat. So I'm gonna mute my mic. She's gonna ask the question one more time, and let's drop our answers in the chat. Go ahead.
What was the hairstyle of 1964 that accompanied the Afro comb? Because the Afro comb came first, then the style. What was it called? Okay. All right. Come on, guys. I'm going to tell you. Want me to tell you?
Okay, we got some good answers in the chat. So we have textured. Sandra Sandra said Afro. Everybody's saying Afro. We have one, Juju. Her name is Jolanda. She says natural. And she's got that. What's up, Miss Foster? Teresa says Afro. So everybody's pretty much saying Afro. My cousin is saying texture, but we got one outlier. Miss AG said beehive. But we have one person who says natural, and another person says beehive. But it's pretty much a consensus that Afro would be the term. So what's the? Let me mute my mic and get the correct answer.
Okay. The correct answer for the person and for the people who said they have never heard of no Afro cosmetology. You've never heard of Afro cosmetology because cosmetology did not embrace the hairstyle. Only the barbershop did. So you wouldn't have heard of it. But just to make my point, the hairstyle was called the Afro Natural. So you did hear of it. You just didn't know what it was. And when you come to this particular summit, it is inappropriate and unacceptable to not know anymore. We must know. You are the physician of this particular field. This is our legacy. We cannot let anybody dictate it. We cannot let anybody serve blackness and Afro-ness and Afro curly and Afro science and Afro naturalness back to us. Inappropriate. So we will be doing this in July. And thank you, LaDosha, just for your vision and your sisterhood. So we are going to get this story straight. We're going to get our facts straight. We're going to get on one accord. And I can't wait until we all come to and coalesce, learn together, share together. I don't know everything, and we never profess to say that, but I do know your creativity and your involvement. We will be able to go not just forward, but back to the future, to where we were, and understand ourselves so we can get our public and be well within our creed and our obligation to our community.
Wow, that's absolutely powerful. I believe that this is the future of barbering, cosmetology,
Absolutely.
and natural hair. I believe that this will be a united front, a united effort, and the divisiveness will stop. To me, by now, we should have a university. We shouldn't be having something called this movement that has divided. But you know what? Families, we get into it. You know what I'm saying? I know I done got into it with my cousins and, me and my brother. You know what I'm saying? Families, we have tips. And that's what families do. But we can get it back together. So I'm going to be TT. I'm going to be Auntie. And I'm going to bring everybody together. We're going to kumbaya. We're going to sit down. We're going to shut up. We're going to have remember back in the day? Some of y'all might remember this, right? LL caught this. You want to give me an hour plus a pen and a pad, okay? And so we're going to take some notes. You can't microwave this, per my homeboy Asar Imhotep. You cannot microwave this information, so we're going to be proud to bring it to you. We're working out the details to give you guys a dynamic learning experience to invite all. This is not a black thing. I want to say this again. This is not a black thing. We are going to end that thing called I don't do that kind of hair. Everybody should be able to work with this fabric, and we're going to have a wonderful time. So that's coming in July. Next month, I'm sorry. Next week. Oh, I forgot to mention, Cheryl, we are going to have a town hall. I forgot to mention, we are going to have a Afro hair town hall discussion where the public can come in. We want to hear from you so that we can make this industry better. So the Afro Hair Science Summit is for the licensed professionals, and then the town hall is for everybody, and there's going to be more to come. So hopefully, it'll be a whole weekend. Right now we just got 2 days, but 3 days would be fascinating, and that's how it's going down. Next week, since everybody just seems to be all in outs and kind of what is the Afro natural, what is this, Cheryl, let's take them on a journey of the original natural Afro. Let's bring up some clips and all this cool stuff about this the natural back in the days of the Black Panthers in the 60s, because we got to move past this, guys. We can't stay stuck in the 60s. This is 2023, and Amos Wilson. If you guys don't know who Amos Wilson is, Cheryl is the female version of Amos Wilson. So y'all go check out it. Juju, could you please let them know? Amos Wilson is to whom it may concern, Amos Wilson is the whip. Cheryl Morrow is the female version of Amos Wilson. So he's already said, we're not people who are just stuck back in the back. But we've got to get you guys up to date. So we're going to cover this natural hair thing in its original form. And we're going to move on past it and get on to some other topics in some of the future. And that's how it's going down. Okay, so we thank you guys so very much. We're going to be back next week, same time at 6 o'clock p.m. right here on the dumbest ish that people say about black hair. We all have learned a lot tonight, and so we hope to see you guys back next week, and we're going to go through a wonderful, wonderful history and have a great time. Get your questions ready. Don't forget, if there's something you want to talk about, go ahead on and drop it in the chat so we can bring you in the live, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. And that bird with that hair in the nest is just that's just too much. That was so funny. All right, guys, you know what we say? We're always signing out, right? We're always talking about a whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, and for sure a whole lot of hair. But check this out. If you don't have any hair, if you don't like hair, if you can't grow hair, maybe you got a bald spot or some bald patches. People be trying to tease you, make you feel bad. Cheryl and I, we say, don't listen to them mofos, okay? You go ahead and love yourself just as you are, because all bald heads and bald patches, all of that is beautiful too, and so are you. Deuces.